Hey, everybody. It's episode 24 of TLDR podcast. It's almost James's age because James is like 25 or something. Maybe he's a little older.
26, but same old.
Yeah. I feel like we went from TLDR bumps to TLDR dumps, guys. Alex, he told us to draft Daniel Jones. Now he's hurt.
Whoa.
I told you guys a couple episodes ago Joe Burrow. He's out for the season. Tyler told you guys to draft Rex Burkhead a couple episodes ago. He's out for the season.
Yeah.
James tells us all the time that he likes the 49ers. Their entire team is hurt. But anyways, Tradon, what's up? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. Tomorrow is a big day for me because if my defense doesn't get literally 8 points, my playoff dreams are done. So I'm relying on the Steelers defense at this point to beat your ass. I'm shaking in my boots, but I feel okay.
Yeah, we are having quite the battle. I'm up by 8 points. This whole Ravens COVID debacle might screw me over this week and might actually help you trade, and let's hope that doesn't happen. James, how you doing? We're talking football already.
Love it, dude. I'm doing great. Niners won against the Rams.
Fucking
suck
God.
It. I'm still in last place, but I'm not the only person in last place, and that's all that matters. You and I, beer mile, will be exciting.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah.
I hope you guys tie and
Rams
both have to do it.
Fellow Rams fans, Alex, how we doing? You did a good job hosting last week. I'm sorry I missed it.
It's okay. Yeah. How was your mom's birthday? Did you guys do something?
It was good. Yeah. We had sushi outdoors in Huntington Beach.
Beautiful.
It was great.
Sushi on fire?
No, it was a place called Irase. I think that means like cheers or something in Japanese, actually. For those of you Japanese listeners, you could
you should probably fact check that
actually,
first. Yeah.
Tradon, you should ask Kylie. Yeah.
That's not racist though. I don't even know she's Japanese.
I want to know if I'm right or wrong,
I'll ask.
Speaking of right or wrong, Tyler, how you doing? You were wrong about Rex Burkhead, as we all know.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago just talking about it, so that's fun. But I did score 194 points against James.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Thanks to 57 points from Tyreek Hill.
That's
unbelievable. It was
Tyler,
no
did you check
shot.
if that's a record?
I texted James. I'm like, that's got to be a record. And I meant to look it up. I haven't looked it up.
He had 37
right
points
now
in the first quarter.
Yeah.
37 in the first quarter.
Yo, it's not the record.
It's not?
No.
What's the record? Is it Jamal Charles?
No, it's your boy, Jerry Rice. He had a game where he scored like 5 touchdowns. I think it was like 65 points or something.
Oh my God.
I don't know,
Exist?
Matthew Berry or somebody tweeted out.
Yeah.
That would be a very Matthew Berry type thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that felt good, but
yeah.
I had my first full day of big boy job today, so that felt good. So actually working and doing a podcast at the same time is gonna be a little different, but I'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
Tyler's a big boy now, whatever that's from.
At 29 years old, he finally got his first job.
Is he 29? You're not 29.
27. Let's
yeah.
down a little bit.
Got mine at 21.
So breaking news. Well, kind of breaking news, but did anyone see this mysterious 10-foot metal monolith that appeared
in Utah?
Alien.
Yeah, dude, in the Red Rock Canyons. So if you look it up online, people, it's madness. Like this fucking metal, like looks like from the SB129 SpongeBob episode or something, like pops up out of the fucking ground. Yeah, fucking name dropping SpongeBob episode.
Right?
Here we go. It's gonna be a long episode.
Wow.
This little this big metal thing popped up out of nowhere. A few days later, it fucking disappeared. How, you ask? Aliens, of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We told you guys they're probably real, and now it's confirmed they're probably real. So I just wanted, to shock the world with you guys.
Wait, confirmed they're probably real.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure it was the
love
delivery of the COVID vaccine from the aliens. Is what it was.
So it all is interconnected, is what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, well, speaking of interconnecting things, we're going to segue right in to the first segment of the week. It's going to be Alex. We're talking the ultimate Frankenstein fast food combination, how you would intertwine everything. This is going to be great, Alex. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, so this is based off of, we just had Thanksgiving. Tradon led us in this little heartfelt situation we talked about. It was so cute. Now Thanksgiving's over. You're mashing all of those leftovers together. But I mean, for the rest of it, I don't know about you guys, but all of our leftovers are long gone by this point. So going back to being poor, we're going to fast food. So I asked the boys to come up with an idea. I don't know what they've come up with, so I'm a little terrified, but just, mashing together fast food items from different places. I feel like I'm taking over Eric's spot because Eric's our food guy. But Eric, I'm going to let you start. I know you just did a bunch of talking, but I think yours might be the craziest, so I wanted to start with you.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, this definitely sparked my interest. I'm glad you picked this topic. So I'm thinking of a sandwich and the likelihood of a chicken sandwich. Let's start with the bun. It's got to be the Cane's bobbed Texas toast. James, what does bobbed mean again?
Butter on both sides? Nope, that's wrong. Butter.
Yeah, buttered on both sides. Right?
Butter on both. Yep. Okay, there we go. That's it. Bobbed.
Yeah. So it's got to be the Cane's bobbed Texas toast. So then the chicken is going to be 3 pieces of chicken. It's going to be 2 cane strips and a Chick-fil-A patty. But in between that is a little, few squirts of Chick-fil-A sauce in between those two. Or, the strips in the patty. Tradon, let me finish, all right? The lettuce is going to be Chipotle, their shredded romaine lettuce that they do there. I don't know why, I just like that lettuce.
Gotta love that E. coli.
Yeah, the E. coli ribbons of lettuce. Yeah, you're right. That was the E. coli lettuce. Fuck, I didn't think about that.
Keep going.
The tomato would be that big, meaty In-N-Out slab, 1 tomato. They have just solid tomatoes there. On the top of the bun would be Chick-fil-A pickles, a little spurts of light In-N-Out onions, and of course doused in cane sauce. And yeah, so that would be my sandwich.
Wow. Damn. That's impressive. I realized now that we should have counted up the calories, and whoever's had the most wins.
Yeah, right.
Biggest badass, I guess. But
that could be an Instagram post later.
Yeah, we'll have to look in that later. Okay, Tradon, you're shaking your head as if I would assume it's disgust, but I'm not really sure.
No, it's actually I actually am sorry to you, Alex, because I didn't put the same effort in mine.
Neither did I.
Neither did I.
I feel like I'm really leaving you out to dry. And how do I follow that up? But I'll go ahead. Oh, by the way, Eric, that sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. I'm shaking my head because I feel so bad about what I'm about to say. Mine's just a basic double In-N-Out burger with in between the 2 patties is a Chick-fil-A.
No, that's mine. No, I'm next. That's what I was going to say.
So that would be mine.
I do
it sounds like it's
week.
Also James's.
I think Come on, man. That's just add a Krispy Kreme donut on top or something.
Sounds like it's James's, but that'd have to be it. And then you could throw the waffle fries in there somehow. But
okay.
But sorry, James, if I took it, but
you did. I'm gonna make something up right now, though. Good.
Okay, yeah, James. Yeah, James, go for it. Just
all right. This is off the spot. I
guess.
We're gonna talk breakfast here. We're gonna make an omelet, but we're gonna use ingredients from In-N-Out and Denny's. Let's go to Denny's. So you go to Denny's and you get some pancakes, or IHOP. IHOP's better because the house is better. There we go. We're gonna go to IHOP. Yeah. Get 1 chocolate chip pancake, 1 buttermilk pancake, and then 1 blueberry pancake.
Okay.
Okay. Those are pancakes. Put that on the side. Get some butter, and get some syrup. But then you go to In-N-Out and you get 3 double doubles. Get some fries. Mash all that up. Put it in a pan. Put 7 eggs in there. Whip it all up, put it together. That's your omelet. That's your breakfast, and then you got some pancakes on the side. And that's
are we feeding an army, or are we feeding you?
Jesus, James.
That's a meal, bro. Come on, what are you talking about? That's a meal.
It'll feed me for a week.
Put cane sauce on there. Put Chick-fil-A sauce on there.
At least 2,000 calories, right?
I think James.
And then you shotgun 3 beers
and make it into a smoothie.
I love that.
Dang.
We should,
you guys,
James, we should do that.
I have.
Dude,
Oh,
who's having the
Tyler
worst,
would be full for months.
damn. Dude, who's having the worst like morning the next day? Like who's spending the most time on the toilet so far?
Oh,
I feel like
James.
it's gotta be James, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had it for breakfast, so he's in trouble
Yeah.
during the day. Like,
Yeah.
not the next morning. It's
Well, I'm assuming he's
2 hours
asleep for
later.
the next 4 hours after that.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's
Eating
like
your
the
calories,
monster
man.
burrito, James.
Damn.
Oh, hey, I want to drink beer after that. We're fine.
True.
Jesus Christ. I want to puke. Tyler, let's yours I'm assuming will be the easiest to deal with.
We'll see. We'll see. So I kind of wanted to bring in some of my favorite fast food restaurants, my favorite part of each one, and kind of put it all into one. So I love the bowls from Rubio's, which is this Mexican fast food restaurant. I don't know, Alex, if you have a Rubio's up there, but
Definitely do not.
okay, well, it's really good. And my favorite thing to get there is the California bowl. It's like citrus rice, got grilled chicken, salsa, avocado. It's super good. But so I'm gonna have basically just the rice and the salsa in there. And then for the chicken, as a kid growing up, my favorite fast food chicken growing up was Chicken Stars from Carl's Jr. So throw some Chicken Stars in there, make it pretty cool, right? And then and then you're gonna add some cane sauce in there. You gotta put the cane sauce on it because
Where's your Subway, bro?
what?
Where's your Subway? Don't you love Subway? You ate that
You still love
single
Subway.
day.
I'm
It's got
never
the
gonna live
Subway
that
bag of
down.
mayo.
Never gonna
Single
live that
day,
down.
bro.
Never gonna live that down. I had a lot of Subway for like 1 year, and now
You had it every day for a year.
of my life.
Look at you now.
Anyway, so that's the bowl, right? Super good. And then my favorite fast food fries are Arby's curly fries, 100% the best. And then you got to top it off with a chocolate milkshake from Chick-fil-A.
Wow. I feel like yours is almost like a normal meal,
Yeah.
which is so boring.
Well, but it's got chicken stars in it
Okay. Well, I mean,
Down and
whatever.
nuggets are better, bro.
and cane sauce.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Also, for those of you who don't know Tyler that well, he literally didn't eat Mexican food until like a year ago.
Yeah, it's true.
So I feel like all of
What
that
is a
is
bean?
just all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah, when it comes to
In
food, I'm
college,
not
it
the
was
best person
so
to
annoying.
ask.
Okay.
Better late than never.
Okay. I went a little bit of a different route. I went a little bit savory, a little bit sweet. So have you guys had the sausage or sausage and egg McGriddle thing from McDonald's,
Oh,
the
yeah.
breakfast one with
Oh,
the
yeah.
syrup in the bun? So I'm just assuming McDonald's can make those buns burger sized instead of like little like breakfast sandwich size. So I'm going double, In-N-Out spread on one side of the burger, whatever the sauce is that's in the cheesy gordita crunch and Taco Bell on the other one, double, 2 slices of cheese, and then those 2 McGriddle pancake bun things. And then if you really want to go full fat ass, slide in some McDonald's French fries because those are the best fries. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
They are definitely.
Okay, well, Tyler, fuck Arby's, dude.
Arby's curly fries.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We're talking about underrated players in a little bit, but how about the most underrated French fry? It's clearly Arby's curly fries.
I have no.
Yeah,
I
they're
have nothing to
they're
say to that.
overlooked because no one goes there because
The most
rest of the shit
overrated-
sucks.
Overrated fries is Jack in the Box. Terrible fries.
I was thinking In-N-Out.
Jack in the Box is terrible in
Definitely In-N-Out.
general.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
go to Jack.
Don't go there.
Okay, I feel like James is the biggest fat ass, and
That's been established a long time ago.
yeah, that's true. I mean, after Eric's In-N-Out segment where you were like, "Yeah, I get 4 double doubles."
3, but it's fair.
I feel like your plumbing, like you should have the plumber like on speed dial.
I actually learned how to
Train up.
plumb.
You learned how to plumber?
You learn how to plumb.
Yo,
learned how to
plumber, I
plumb.
just met her. Oh
Or
Lord,
got him.
got him so good. Okay, well that's mine. It was wow, Eric.
Yeah.
I'm most impressed with Eric's just full on.
I think his
Yeah.
was the best sounding, best tasting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Comprehensive.
Actually, I kind of like we all had different takes. Like Tyler's was kind of just like a regular meal that he threw chicken stars in. Alex had the double sauces on the side. That I mean, like sauces split in half on a bun. That's never been done before, so that's like historical.
Boom.
James, of course, just had the most. But yeah, that was great stuff.
Thanks, man.
When we return, guys, the fantasy season is winding down. We're gonna let you know who to get and pick up to save your season. Because if you're like Tradon, it's like do or die this week. So when we come back, let's see what James has to say. Welcome back, everybody. It's the fantasy football segment of the week, waiver wire. We're going to let you know who to get, who not to get. I guess you don't really want to listen to us because everyone we've told you about has been getting hurt. But James, what do we got?
That's actually not true. I've had a couple good picks throughout the weeks, here and there, finishing the top 10 of each position. That's cool. But this is going to be probably my last week doing this because it is the playoffs next week, which means there's going to be 4 of you guys per thing that are listening to it. So there's no point.
And it's safe to say that if you don't figure it out now, well, you're screwed then. So
basically, I'm just trying to help you win this last week. And if you win this, good luck in playoffs. It's all up to you. Teams on bye this week are the Buccaneers and the Panthers. So if you have anybody in the Buccaneers, that's the biggest one.
Fuck.
Get somebody new. Sucks you, Eric. Starting with quarterback, first and foremost, we got Kirk Cousins from the Vikings. He's owned in 20.4% of leagues. In Week 12, he had 26.18 points. Against Carolina, he went 34 for 45 for 307 yards and 3 touchdowns, while also adding 3 carries for 19 yards. And this is all without Adam Thielen because he was on the COVID list. So that's your number 1 wide receiver. And he's still producing without him. He's had 20-plus point games in 3 of his last 6 games, so he's really starting to heat up. As I mentioned before, Adam Thielen was out, and he is the number 1 receiver, but he should be back this upcoming week. And he also has another potential number 1 wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. Although he's a rookie, PFF has him graded as the best rookie wide receiver in the league. Teams right now are selling out to defend the run because of Dalvin Cook. The guy's a monster. He's really good at running the ball. And so teams are stacking the box, which allows single coverage on the backside and up front, which will allow for Kirk Cousins to throw the ball way more. The Vikings as a whole have won 4 of their last 5 games, so that's a lot of positive momentum and positive morale, helping the players to play well overall. Next up, they play the Jags. That's the 2nd worst team in the league. Almost every team and every quarterback on that team has thrown multiple passing touchdowns against the Jaguars. They're a bad team, guys. So, Eric, you famously claimed that Mitch Trubisky would have had a better season than Kirk Cousins. Well, Trubisky got benched after 3 games and has only appeared in 4 games, and Kirk Cousins has 23 passing touchdowns. Can you make an argument against your original argument?
Yes. No, I can't actually. No, I was completely wrong. But I did pick up Cousins actually in my other league like a couple weeks ago when Josh Allen was on a bye. And, yeah, like you said, he's been doing pretty good. I've played him the last 3 weeks in my league, 19.5, 25.9, and 29.18. These are his points the last 3 weeks. Really good. 8 touchdowns in those last 3 weeks, only 1 interception. So that's also pretty good. And, yeah, he's probably better than Trubisky.
He's not probably – he definitely is better than Trubisky. What are you talking about? How many points do you think he puts up this week?
Against Jacksonville, I'm gonna say 24.8 points this week, almost 25.
Any interceptions or any touchdowns?
He's gonna get 3 touchdowns again. I'm probably gonna play him this week, and it depends who the Bills play because I got Josh Allen also in my 2 quarterback system, But I'll probably play Cousins.
I would have picked Josh Allen, but that's just me. This is the waiver wire section, man. Like, this is 50% around here. Like, for sure, play Josh Allen. What are you doing?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know who they're playing, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, that was a quarterback. Now, moving on to running back, we have Latavius Murray from the Saints. He's owned in 46.3% of leagues. In Week 12, he had 25.6 points, his season high. Against Denver, he had 19 carries for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's getting to the point in the season now where the Saints are starting to rest Alvin Kamara a lot more because they want him to be fresh and ready for the playoffs, which allows Latavius Murray to get a lot more work. Alvin Kamara is actually more of the pass-catching back, and without Drew Brees to throw down checkdowns all the time, they're actually going to run more running plays, which is Latavius Murray's specialty. In the 2 games that Drew Brees has been out, Latavius has had 12 carries and 19 carries respectively. Murray's always been a part of the game plan. He's not just coming up out of nowhere because Drew Brees is out. He's had double-digit carries in all but 4 games. So he's not new. He's been there. Next up, he plays the Falcons. He had 10.5 points against them 2 weeks ago. And then he plays the Eagles. So he could really be a multi-week player. Alex, running backs in the waiver wire are really hard to come by just because there's basically no starting running backs out there right now. So what are your thoughts on Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I think if Drew Brees was still healthy, I would say don't even think about it because he and Kamara have this such a great connection, And you're right, Kamara is more of a pass catching back, even though he can obviously do a great job running. Hi, guys. Latavius Murray is very boomer bust, though. He's got 4 touchdowns on the season. He's had 2 touchdown games. That's it. You really have to bank on him scoring, getting into the end zone. I don't know if you can do that. The Saints are kind of in cruise mode right now. So, yeah, he might get a little bit more work. But the Falcons are still trying to fight. They're still trying to get into the playoffs. So they're not going to, just roll over. I don't know if you can pick them up. I mean, if you are, maybe you have Ronald Jones or Fournette and you're looking for another running back with those super weird late buys, go for it, pick him up. But just know it's going to be maybe he gets 20 points. He might get 2.3.
Do you think he outscores Alvin Kamara for the 3rd week in a row?
No. Want to do $5 again?
No, not even close, dude. No way. I'm really reaching for these running backs. He's not. Probably not.
Damn.
Quick side note here. The Bills play the Niners. So the Niners have a pretty good defense. I was just seeing against the Rams. So I don't know if you want to play Josh Allen against them. So Cousins it is, huh? Going on to wide receiver, we have Allen Lazard, a.k.a. the Lizard King from Green Bay. He's owned in 27.8% of leagues. In Week 12, he had 12.3 points. Against Chicago, he had 4 receptions on 6 targets for 23 yards and a touchdown. He's clearly the number 2 guy in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense. If it's a passing down and Devontae isn't open, he's probably going to be the next read. He has a knack for an end zone because he's had 3 touchdowns in 5 games. That's a really good percentage right there. It's a very small sample size, but ever since he came back from his injury, he had core surgery early in the year where he missed 6 games and a bye. His targets from Aaron Rodgers have gone up every single game. Next up, they play the Eagles. The Eagles have one good corner in Darius Slay, who's going to shadow Devontae Adams pretty much all game, which leaves subpar cornerbacks and safeties to cover Allen Lazard. Tradon, this is your guy, man. You had him as your waiver wire pick a couple weeks ago. Can you make an argument for or against adding him this week?
Oh, he's a huge ad. Look, he absorbed a big hit against the Bears this past week and left briefly and then came back and finished with the stats. He said 4 receptions on 6 targets, 23 yards, and a tuggy. He just came back from a lengthy core injury, as you mentioned, and he immediately scared us. But in the game he scored. And before missing 6 games, he put up 2 very strong performances. But has also seen his fair share of rough games. One due to, I would say because he's easing back from the injury, which would have been the week before. But before surgery, he had an 87% snap share in the first 3 games, which lent him to record one 18-point game and a 26-point game. To me, if he sustains a 4-target average, he's a solid flex option. And if we look at this past week, he was put out of the game for the injury, saw 33 snaps, a season low, and still scored reasonable points. Still scored a touchdown. That's fantastic. For comparison, Scantling saw 56 snaps and didn't even 1 target. I mean, clearly he's the second best option. But so I can see where you're coming from. Also, at this point, you have Green Bay facing the 13th ranked Eagles, the 24th ranked Lions, the 15th ranked Titans, and the 28th ranked Bears again. And Tennessee has allowed 5th most points to wideouts this season. At this point in your season, you should be picking him up, even if he's available, even if you're pretty confident with your team. And here's why: because you're going to keep your optionality on your bench, as well as keeping opponents away from a potential huge guy. So he's huge. He's huge.
That was amazing, dude. That was probably your best response yet. And it's week 13. That was fantastic. Good job.
Takes a little while.
Matthew Berry.
What do you think his stat line is going to be for this upcoming week against the Eagles?
What was that?
What do you think his stat line is going to be against the Eagles this week?
I can see him breaching 15 points, and for a flex option, that would have won me this week. So
that's true. Thank you very much. Lastly, we're going to go to tight end. Tight end this week, I have Trey Burton from Indiana. Shout out, Matt. That's your team. He's owned in 6% of leagues. In week 12, he had 13.2 points. Against Tennessee, he had 3 receptions on 6 targets for 42 yards and a touchdown. Can we call him Philip Rivers' favorite target? Not necessarily, but he's consistently the second or third most targeted pass catcher on that team. He was really good in Chicago before injury after injury after injury derailed his career, and now he's finally healthy, so his potential is coming back. Phillip Rivers loves to throw short and throw his checkdowns, and tight ends typically run short routes, so it's a match made in heaven. He had the touchdown in each of his last 2 games. Up next, they play the Texans, and the Texans usually give up 60-plus yards to tight end position per game. T.J. Hawkinson just torched him for 89 yards, and with J.J. Watt coming in hot to sack Rivers almost every play, look for him to throw short way more often. Tyler, you put up damn near 200 points, man, and that was crazy. So you probably won't go get this guy because you have a decent tight end in Hunter Henry already, but can you make an argument for or against adding him?
All right, so Trey Burton, this guy's an interesting pick. I think he has the potential to be very, very good. He's scored as much as 21.9 points and has scored as few as 1.6. And I think if you look at his stat line throughout the season, it's very up and down. So he's kind of boom or bust. But as you mentioned, I think he is getting more looks. I think Phillip Rivers in general, I think spreads his options out pretty far. So you kind of have to bank on the fact that he's part of the game plan this week, which is kind of hard to predict. So I think if you're really desperate for a tight end, this is not a bad option. As you mentioned, he's owning like 6% of leagues. So I think this is a pretty decent pick, but don't expect too much because he could be a bust at the same time.
Did he score a touchdown this week to make it 3 weeks in a row?
No.
Okay. Lastly, we're going to go around and see what the guys think about their favorite waiver wire pick for the week. Tradon, let's start with you.
Okay, so Alan Lazard is my initial pick. Okay, obviously, after that dissertation that I gave you. But I want to give you something new. And please, there's a contingency factor. Okay, James, before you start freaking out, there's a contingency factor. Let me get through it. Devontae Booker has seen extra work and is the key understudy to Josh Jacobs. He's averaging 5.9 yards per game and has shown he can handle the majority of the work like he did in week 10 when he had 16 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, the contingency part being Josh Jacobs staying out. He does have a sprain and it looks like it's going to be minor, but if, you got to monitor him throughout the week. If Josh Jacobs is not going to be taking snaps this weekend, he's someone you have to pick up. He's going to take that number 1 running back spot and run with it. No pun intended. And he's a huge pick if Josh Jacobs is out, and that's if.
I like that pick. It's a good pick. Eric, what do you got, man?
I got Young Ho Koo, the kicker from the Falcons. He had 21 points this week against the Raiders. So I might actually pick him up and drop because I had the Broncos kicker. He had 1 field goal this week. And I could use more points against Tradon. So
Dude, the Broncos didn't have a quarterback, man. How do you expect them to move the ball?
yeah, that's why I'm going to get Young Ho Koo.
They have their quarterbacks back.
Young Ho Koo it is.
Plus,
Watch him get 1 field goal here. Good one, Tyler. Alex, who do you got?
Dude, running back, just go with whoever you think is going to possibly get 2 scores. Boom or bust. If you're in trading spot, go fucking big. Do you have the balls? Pick up Adrian Peterson. You don't know. He could score too.
do it, Tradon.
I think he went with Devontae Booker, but AJ Peterson's cool too.
No, I'm just saying, go big.
Yeah, Tyler, who you got?
Well, I got Dalton Schultz, tight end, Dallas Cowboys. He's a 7th-ranked tight end and is only owned in 30% of leagues. This guy could be a more reliable option, tight end, than Trey Burton. I don't know. I think Trey Burton has bigger potential, but I think that Dalton's probably – sorry, not Dalton. Yeah, Dalton Schultz is going to give you a I was thinking the quarterback, wrong guy. Is going to give you possibly – I think he's going to give you more closer to 10 points, I think, more consistently. So kind of weigh your options on that one.
All right. And that is my fantasy section for the year. Thanks for listening, guys.
Wow. We need to go back. Tyler, you need to edit all the highlights of that, like all the right and wrong things we've said.
Have fun with that, Tyler.
Wow. Yeah, because I have time.
13 weeks worth, bro.
Yeah.
13 weeks worth plus the draft that we had that is
James,
in the banks right now.
James, when this is all said and done, I think you need to do a segment where we compare our picks on each of the, from the beginning of the year, if they're 1 to 10s, against what actually happened and see how great or fucking terrible we are.
Oh man, just the injuries alone. That's the hardest part.
True.
So yeah,
That's
we'll do it. Let's
solid.
see what happens.
That'd be great.
Eric got last place. I can already tell you that.
We're gonna take a quick break, guys. When we come back, we're gonna hear who's the most overrated and underrated in all the sports that matter. Yo, everybody, we're back. Do you guys like sports? We do. Do you like overrated athletes or underrated athletes? Tradon likes both, right, Tradon?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Well, why? You're supposed to take it away.
You didn't say take it away.
To be fair, you didn't say take away. But
Okay.
yes, today we're going to talk, or I'm going to talk about overrated, underrated players. I asked the guys to kind of go through. I don't know if they went with recent. I kind of went with more recent, but just because I think everyone's kind of in the, in the know, in the now. I asked everyone to go with their respective sports and give us their picks for the most overrated and underrated players in those sports. So let's start with the NBA. Alex, since it's just about to start in a few weeks, ideally, give me your overrated player in the NBA right now.
Okay, yeah. First of all, I have no idea how they're going to start so soon. I feel like it just ended.
Yeah,
it was like what, 3 weeks ago? I know it's probably like 2 months, but you said
this season ended a while ago though.
You said overrated first, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so overrated first. I have felt this for a long time, and this season proved it. It is Draymond Green, the most overrated player in basketball. He had 3 Hall of Fame bona fide superstars carrying him. Now, KD left, Clay got hurt, Steph got hurt. It was Draymond's time. He averaged 8 points and 3 rebounds. That's not a starter. That's a backup center. Draymond Green is ridiculous. He should never have been an all-star. He should never won Defensive Player of the Year. He was carried by those all-time greats playing on that Warriors team. There's no big four with Draymond. Fuck that shit. It is Steph, Clay, and KD. Draymond, you can go sit your ass down on the bench.
Wow.
Damn.
I actually really like Draymond Green personally.
Don't care.
So what do you have to say about that?
But I don't know his prior stats. I know that I know that he didn't have a great season this past year. I know that he's been kind of known for his defensive side. So I would hope that someone maybe can kind of like play devil's advocate here for me on my behalf.
Also kicks dudes in the balls. Like, that's rule number 1.
And he talks so much shit, but he cannot back it up.
He kicked Aquaman in the balls.
Yeah,
well, I can't apologize for him because you guys are just torching me and torching him. So
you wanted contention.
I did want contention, and now it's smacking me in the face. So I can get out of my hole that I've dug. What is your most underrated player in the NBA?
Yeah, so underrated is going to be CJ McCollum, the other star backcourt player for the Portland Trailblazers. I love Dame. I've shown that on this podcast before. Dame is probably my favorite non-Lakers player. If there was any way for the Lakers to get Dame, I would take him in a heartbeat. But McCollum just gets overshadowed because he's Dame Dollar. He shoots from the logo. He's legit. But CJ McCollum could run that team on his own if Dame ever got hurt. CJ, he's averaging 25 points. Also, he played this coronavirus season or whatever with like a partially broken back. He like had a fracture in his back. I can't even imagine like getting out of bed with that. But playing in the NBA, CJ McCollum is my most underrated. He's a superstar and no one talks about him.
There we go. I mean, looking at just his stats in the past couple of years, I mean, over 20 points, averaging over 20 points a game. Pretty solid, and he's only improved since he got in the league. So I think that he's just being overshadowed. And I agree. I think he's a great underrated player pick. Anybody concur or disagree with that?
I agree with both of those. Sorry, I agree with both of those picks.
What the
fantastic.
fuck was that?
I saw you nodding there, James.
Has Rona.
What is your feeling on McCollum? Like, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, he hit the nail perfectly on the head. Is the fact of the matter is you got a superstar and you have a star. CJ McCollum in his own right could be a superstar if he was on his own, but like the fact of the matter is that the spotlight isn't on him all the time,
Right.
and so he's just there to be 1B when he could be a 1 somewhere else. And the thing about CJ is that he's quiet about it. He doesn't really talk. He talks shit on Twitter about gaming and whatnot. But that's pretty much it. Like he doesn't talk shit about like destroying people. He laughs at Lou Bev or Pat Bev and Lou Will. He laughs at those two all the time. But like, for the most part, he's pretty much quiet about it. Just goes in and does his job and puts up numbers.
There's one thing I forgot to say about him too. He usually leads the league or is in the top in the league on like I think it's miles ran by the end of the season. So he's the one working his ass off on the court.
Yeah. I like that shit.
CJ.
I like that. Let's shift over to the MLB. Tyler, let's start with the overrated player in the MLB, in your opinion.
All right. So this was a pretty fun one to do research on. I think there's a lot of good candidates for both overrated and underrated. So for the overrated one, I'm going to go with the obvious one. It's Bryce Harper. Just no question. I didn't really want to go this one because I think it's kind of the easy pick. But honestly, when I was doing all my research, he's like the only player that's on every single list I looked up. And when you really think about it, he really is the most overrated player in baseball. And he's been overrated pretty much his whole career, with the exception of like one season. The main problem was he was so overhyped as a prospect. It was like the second coming of Jesus. Like he was supposed to be like baseball's Connor McDavid or LeBron James, like that good of a player. And I mean, he's had a decent career, but he hasn't been like the guy of baseball. He was drafted number 1 overall by the Nationals in 2010, made his big league debut in 2012. He's played 9 years in the league. He's won Rookie of the Year. He won MVP in 2015, and is a 6-time All-Star. So you kind of look at that, you're like, that's not that bad. But to be honest with you, he just isn't as good as advertised. And it's kind of unfair to him because I think he was unfairly advertised. So, and he's really only had one good season, as I mentioned in 2015, when he won MVP. He hit 330, hit 42 home runs, 99 RBIs. Amazing season. Other than that, the only year he's hit above 275 was one time in 2017, but that was also the fewest games he played in his career in a full season. So you can kind of take that as you want. Also, his career in the postseason is pretty bad, hitting 211, only 5 home runs. His career WAR of 33.4 is only 46th of all the active players right now. So I don't know. I think Bryce Harper is a very good baseball player. Don't get me wrong, but I think just when you think overrated, and I think he's been overrated for most of his career. So I'm gonna have to go with Bryce Harper.
Alex, you kind of like tilted your head a little bit.
It's just such an easy response. Like it's such a.
As I said, it was easy.
Just a. I don't know.
I mean, the easy route.
Yeah, right. I mean, I didn't think about this that much, so I was focused on the basketball side. But off the top of my head, I would have picked Chris Bryant. Sort of the same thing, but he has the longevity. I mean, they might release him. That's how bad Chris Bryant is.
Oh wow.
Like, the Cubs might be like, nah, we don't want. I think he had 5 RBIs this season.
Oof.
Or something like that.
Yeah, the reason why I kind of went Bryce Harper, which I think he's played a little bit longer, and it's just had like a longer career of being overrated. So I think that's kind of why I picked him. But I think Chris Bryant's also a very, very good second, right there.
Thanks, buddy.
Fair enough. What is your pick for the underrated player?
So underrated. Well, the way I kind of looked at this, I was looking at WAR. I think WAR is a really interesting stat. And I was looking at the top.
Would you explain again what WAR is?
Big WAR guy.
So WAR is wins above replacement. We mentioned this a few podcasts earlier, and it basically measures like how good of a player you are next to your like the player that would replace you essentially. So it's like how good you are above the average player. It's really complicated, to be honest with you. I've looked it up so many times and I couldn't tell you, but it's really complicated. But it's a pretty good stat to measure a person's value. Like it works pretty well. So I was looking at the top 50 active players and kind of going down the list. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. And one guy popped up that was pretty high on the list, and I was like, shit, I didn't know he was this high. He has a career WAR of 36.6, which is 23rd on the active list. It's Andrelton Simmons. You're welcome, Angels fans.
Hey, I told
Wow.
you.
He's not going to be
Good.
Angels fan for that much longer. Or he's gone, dude.
Yeah.
He's not going to play there
I
again.
think he retired.
Here's my
He did
case
not
for,
retire.
Retire.
Yeah.
What are you talking
He's
about?
about to.
All right, but here's my case for Simmons. He's mostly known for his defense. I think there's no question he's probably one of the best, if not the best defensive player in baseball, which I think defense overall as a skill in baseball is underrated. I think it's super, super important. I don't think enough people pay attention to it. Yeah, they have those top 10s on Sports Center, but like overall, like as defense, no one talks about like that being as such a big deal, but it really is a really important skill. He's won so many Gold Gloves and Defensive Player of the Year. It's crazy. He's super reliable, super consistent. With the bat, he doesn't have a ton of power. He has a 269 career batting average, which is pretty solid. Like that's a pretty solid career average.
Thank you, James.
So he and Kevin Kiermaier, fun fact, are the only active players in the top 50 in WAR who have never made an All-Star team.
Wow.
So Andrew Simmons, 23rd active WAR, 0 All-Star appearances. Bryce Harper is, what did I say earlier? He is
Not a big war guy.
46. He is 46 active, has made 6 All-Star games. So I think that right there, in terms of value and how good, that's most overrated and most underrated right there.
Hey, I like that. And, guy gets 4 Golden Gloves. His best is finished 8th in the MVP race, and that's still pretty good for a type of player that you're talking.
He's also finished the top 10 in WAR for a season 3 times in his career.
He's
That's
also
fantastic.
got an all-time. His nickname's Simba. That's an all-time nickname.
Yeah, that's a great nickname.
That's an all-time nickname.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that was a great pick. Not hearing any fighting over that one. But let's move it over to the NFL. So James, there's a lot of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Let's
I have 2
overrated.
Okay, overrated. I got 2. Like I said, first one is OBJ. This dude, he signed a 5-year, $95 million contract when he was with the Giants and hasn't done much of it since then. Aside from that one-handed catch, he hasn't really produced. He's supposed to be like this dude that just transformed the Browns from a shit team to a better team, and he hasn't done that. The wins haven't come. He was supposed to be the guy that made Baker Mayfield better, or was like supposed to help Baker Mayfield adjust the NFL. That hasn't happened either.
Aren't they 8-3 though? The Browns.
Yeah, OBJ's been injured.
Yeah,
he tore his ACL. What are you talking about? He's had 3 touchdowns this year before he got hurt. He hasn't done anything. He's only had 6. The most he's had since 2016 is 6 touchdowns. At the beginning of his career, nobody really knew much about him. He had like 10 touchdowns, 13, and then 10 again. Since then, he hasn't had more than 6. And this dude is getting paid top dollar. And to be honest, I don't know if he's worth the problems that come with him fighting over like practice things.
Being shit on,
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Being a dog, getting shit on. If that's your fetish, that's your fetish. Just don't tell people. That's weird. My second overrated player is Melvin Gordon from the Broncos. He sat out a year because he thought he was good. The fact of the matter is, he wasn't. Like Austin Eckler came in there and tore it up because he was better than Melvin Gordon for a lot less pay. At the end of the day, Melvin Gordon ended up getting a 2-year, $16 million contract and hasn't produced this year for the Broncos. The Broncos are a pretty bad team. This last game, they didn't have a quarterback, and they're expected to run the ball a lot more, and Melvin Gordon had like 30 yards. Like Philip Lindsay was an undrafted player, and I think it was a bad move for the Broncos to sign Melvin Gordon because Philip Lindsay is a good player, and having Melvin Gordon is stunting his growth overall. It's all about name value and hype for him. Melvin Gordon is averaging less than 4 yards per carry in 4 of his 6 years in the league. He doesn't produce all that much. It's just his name. And those are my 2 overrated players.
Do you think Odell could perform well if he actually had a relatively competent quarterback or an elite quarterback even?
I think anybody could perform well. Look at Alan Lazard. Like he's doing really well. And he has Aaron Rodgers. But the fact that he's getting paid as much as he is to not produce is the thing that's making him overrated for me.
That's fair. That's a huge part of it. I would say those are 2 great picks. What about your underrated pick?
Okay, so I got 2 of those as well.
What?
Sticking with the Browns here, my first one is Nick Chubb.
Oh,
he's quietly one of the best rushers in the league, and he's still on a rookie contract overall. When you think of the Browns, who do you think of? You think of Baker Mayfield and OBJ. You don't ever think about Nick Chubb. and he's also being overshadowed by Kareem Hunt, and it's crazy. Nick Chubb does his job day in and day out, and you don't hear about him at all because he's not on social. He's on social media, but he doesn't tweet or do anything on Instagram. He helps out his community, but you don't hear about it. Like, this dude just goes in and does his job, doesn't talk. Did you guys watch the Hard Knocks on the Browns a couple years ago?
Yeah, don't stretch. It hurts you. Remember that one coach?
Yeah, that guy.
line coach.
But Nick Chubb made one appearance in that entire Hard Knocks thing, and it was at the very beginning when he was at the airport, and some guy asked him what he did. He's like, I play football. And the guy asked him, like, oh, for which college? And he's like, oh, the Browns. And that was it. Very low-key about it. And that was it. He goes in, does his job. Stats-wise, this guy breaks tackles like no other and averages 5 yards a carry. For a power back, that's insane. That's my first overrated pick. And my second is Minkah Fitzpatrick for the Steelers. He was acquired from the Dolphins and traded to the Steelers midway last season, and he completely changed that defense overall. He overhauled that defense, making him like middle-of-the-pack defense, one of the best defenses in the league. He has insane ball hawking skills. He's all over the place. He has so many interceptions. People typically think of TJ Watt and his sacks as part of the reason why the defense is so good, but Eric is going to like this. He's one of the few safeties in the league that is pretty much the QB of that defense, and he allows TJ Watt and that defense to get sacks because he performs so well in the secondary.
And they're undefeated, so, you know.
And they're undefeated, yeah. Without Minkah Fitzpatrick, that defense wouldn't be the same.
So, I mean, Nick Chubb is like my boy. I mean, I love the guy. Almost breached his 1,500 yards last year. I mean, to me, when you ask that question, who do I think of the Brown, or who do I think of when you say the Browns? For me, it's Nick Chubb, and that's maybe because I own him in fantasy. Is he a top 10?
Yes, but people don't think about that because he's underrated.
Right. I will say I am still a little pissed off that he very smartly did not take the touchdown like 2 weeks ago, and like he could have just.
He's all about his team, man. He's all about
his team, and I appreciate that side of it. But as a fantasy owner, I'm still a little salty. but those are great picks. Nick Chubb is like, I love that guy. And again, you never hear from him, and except for the good things, which is important. Shifting over to the PGA, we're gonna go to golf. Eric, who is your most overrated pick in the golf world?
Most overrated golfer, I would say Jordan Spieth. I feel bad shitting on this dude, though. He's got the biggest yips of all time. He can't putt for dick anymore. Apparently, he's relearning his entire swing, which explains why he's been playing like dick in basically every golf tournament the last 4 years. He has won a Masters, but since then, it's just all gone downhill. Literally, he almost won 2 Masters in a row, and on the 17 and 18 holes, he just somehow blew it, had to surrender up the green jacket. One other golf guy I would say overrated. This is me just more like not liking him. It's Brooks Koepka. I mean, he's pretty good. He's won like 4 majors, and he won 3 of them last year. He also had knee surgery this year, so you can't really shit on him and say he's overrated because he was hurt. But the guy just kind of seems like a dick, and he was shit-talking DeChambeau this year, you know. I always got to mention this guy when I talk golf, and, you know, after he shit-talked him, he proceeded to win his first major. So those are my 2 overrated golfers.
I'd say Spieth for sure. I would say Spieth is a great pick. He just – it seems like every tournament you can expect, okay, which 2 holes are you going to blow up, you know? Just – is it going to be early, late, mid? You know, it happens every time. So that's not surprising. So what about your underrated golfers? Because it seems like there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton. I just picked one main guy, Tony Finau. He's just never put it all together to win a major. I hope he does. Here's a hot take. His scoring average is 69. You know, I had to throw that in there. This dude, he's 6'4", 200 pounds. He's a football-sized boy. Got a nice, powerful swing. I was looking up his stats earlier. He's only won 1 tournament ever. That's pretty fucking insane. 6 second-place finishes. I think a few of those were in major tournaments, and he was leading on that Sunday to start. 3 third-place finishes and 40 top 10 finishes. It's
Wow.
crazy. But, he's still winning fucking 6 figures of money every time he does that, but still.
I agree. I think he just needs to put something together and then he's going to start winning. But that stat alone, the top 10 finishes, you don't even see, last winners of Master or, of a Masters in the next tournament making in the top 10, like as consistently as he is. So he's just so close. And if he can maintain that top 10, I mean, he could be one of the greats, I think. But those are great picks. I'm going to move on to the NHL. Please jump down my throat, guys, if you disagree. My overrated player is PK Subban. He's the third highest paid defenseman in the league and is outplayed by damn near every single other top D in the league, ranking 127th in point per game last year. He recorded a dismal -21 on the season and produced a below 50% Corsi rating, suggesting he didn't even help defensively. We've seen him produce almost 60 points in Nashville in 2018 before dropping nearly half of that the next year. And then following it up with an even worse performance this past year. He ranked 29th and he ranks 29th in time on ice, suggesting he's being played as a 1/2 defenseman, and probably taking up special teams as well. But I often compare him to Shea Weber because that was the marquee trade back in 2018 or back in 2016. And, Shea Weber beat him in every single metric, every single one. And I've kind of flip-flopped on who won that trade, in the past 4 years. But now I think that, Shea Weber has kind of regained himself and he's not, and PK has actually gone the other way. And when you look at a $9 million contract that he has for 2 more years, he should be playing like a top 10 consistently. And he's barely cracking the top 100.
He's on a terrible team though.
Regardless, I mean, you could say the same about, quite a few defensemen. Aaron Ekblad. You could say that about. I would have said like Zach Werenski, but the Columbus Blue Jackets are actually a lot better than they used to be. But he's still, even before they became good, they were still solid.
Yeah, but PK, like before he was on the Devils, he's just been a solid player. He fucking was a big reason the Preds got to the Cup that year. He's electric. He's kind of like a Westbrook-ish, I feel like.
I would take every single defenseman in the top 4 in Nashville now over him any day of the week. Roman Josi won the Norris because he's way better. He's also, he's just fantastic. I will say this, PK Subban's amazing off the ice. What he does for social justice and everything is so amazing. I'm not trying to knock him on that. I'm just trying to knock him on the on ice. He has gone completely the wrong direction.
He's going to do great this year.
I think that's a hot take. I hope you're right though. I want to see a resurgence, but he's just not doing it for me right now.
Hey, what do you think about John Gibson? About overrated?
He's always hurt.
But you don't hear as much from him. You don't hear much about him though. I mean,
because the Ducks suck.
Oh, he does suck, but I don't know if he's necessarily overrated. I mean, you could also say the same about Martin Jones. I don't think he's a number 1 goalie, but for some reason the Sharks do. But I wanted to pick someone who was, he's paid a lot and he should be doing a lot better than he is. And that's kind of what kind of brought me into that. There's just so many overrated players, but he's definitely the biggest in my opinion. The underrated player that I pick is Jonathan Huberdeau from the Florida Panthers. Exactly.
Yeah, he's fucking
$5.9 million a year through 2023 now, and he's the second of the underrated stars in the Panthers organization. I didn't want to give Barkov the time of day because everyone touts that he's an underrated player, which at this point he's like not underrated because of that. Though you can blame the market they play in. They just don't get the same reception as the Rangers or Blackhawks or whatever. Huberdeau ranked 10th in point production this past season and 17th in points per game, which is well above 1.0 in the Corsi. He's over 50% in the Corsi, excuse me. And he's considered one of the lowest played players in the top 20. Suggesting, looking at the Corsi, it suggests that he doesn't forget the defensive side of the puck. He's putting up 92 points, in a season last year. He's a perennial 20 goal scorer when he plays a full season. his main issue is who he plays for. I mean, he plays for Toronto, he plays for Rangers, he plays for Pittsburgh, or even the Blackhawks. With these same numbers, he's getting talked about on every single news outlet everywhere. You guys would know who he is. And I think the Panthers have a gem in this guy, along with Barkov, and he'll be a key player to build around if they can get a goaltender. He's 26, so he's just kind of breaching his prime here, and I expect him to do great things in the next couple of years.
You know who's overrated?
You guys even what?
You know who's overrated is John Tavares on the Leafs.
I would 100% agree.
Was the captain of the Islanders. Fucking overrated. Can't even score empty net goals when it matters.
Does anybody have an underrated hockey player that they have in mind?
Yeah, the entire New York Islanders team.
I would agree.
Underrated.
Someone I actually was going to throw in for you three was Iafallo. I really like Iafallo's play. I think you got someone big on your squad there, and I'm going to look forward to him playing and the Kings finally building, truly building around him, because I think he's going to be huge. James, I don't really have an underrated player except maybe Kasha to an extent, but
Dude, the way he spells his name is super weird, bro.
It is.
Case. His name is Case. That was a Kasha. And Ondrej Kasha now, bro.
That is my, that is my segment. It's always fun to talk about underrated, overrated players, but that's what I got.
Yeah, we'll see about PK Subban Tradon. I think he's going to do great this year. But our last segment, we saved the best for last, I think. Tyler's going to talk soccer when we come back. Everybody, we are back for the last segment. We saved the best for last. Tyler is talking to us about a sport that none of us really know about except James, because he kind of works at, I guess, soccer, right, Tyler?
Yeah, soccer, or football as it's called in every other country in the world. So I wanted to talk. Well, first of all, I want to say one of the reasons I'm talking about soccer is because it's winter and baseball isn't around, and I have nothing else to talk about. And it took me like a long time to figure out what to talk about. I was just like looking up things to talk about, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk about soccer. We've never talked about soccer yet, and I kind of want to talk about why we haven't talked about soccer, because it's just not popular in this country. And I wanted to look into that a little bit. Like, let's talk about why soccer isn't a bigger sport here in the United States. So first, I kind of want to dissect as why that is. And I think the number one reason is just the culture of our country and soccer just don't mesh. And there's a few reasons for that. I think that the first reason is that America and Americans like being the best at everything. And in soccer, with the exception of women's soccer, internationally, men's soccer, we are not good at all. So I think if we're not good at it, we don't really care. You look at sports like basketball, baseball, football. We're clearly the best in the world at those sports. Even hockey, Tradon, I think we're competitively kind of number one. Obviously, Canada's number one, but we're at least competitive in that arena. But with soccer, we're just not, straight up not. So I think that's part of the problem. So I think that the U.S. isn't even close to being the best. I think we also just love big things in this country. And I think that those other sports are just big sports, big athletes, big scores. Soccer, smaller athletes, smaller scores. Just doesn't really work.
Baseball.
But even baseball's got big guys, big home runs. They're hitting big fly balls, and even
so does Man U, dude. Man U, you got these big hulking dudes who just
but they're
destroy you. What are you talking about?
But the final score's 2-0.
They just kick you in the shins, Tyler.
So, dude, your freaking Dodgers can win 2-0 too. Cool.
I know, but I'm saying, like, in soccer, it's consistently that. Baseball, it could be 2-0, you're right, but could also be, 14 to.
Can I give you a knock on soccer?
Sure.
Because I just interrupted you anyways. Yeah, but I hate how, like, even in, like, the World Cup, it can get determined by, like, a PK. In other words, what is that, a penalty kick?
Yep.
That's like having a hockey Stanley Cup or, like, a World Cup fucking you lose on a shootout goal, which is, like, sometimes an unfair advantage, would you say?
Yeah, and that's
score earlier.
Another reason I was going to talk about. I think we as a country, we hate ties. We hate it. And
we as a country are not patient.
No, we want a winner and a loser, whether it's heartbreak or thrill. We want someone to win and someone to lose. And in soccer, ties are allowed with the exception of World Cup knockout rounds, or any kind of knockout round, any kind of playoff format. They have to go to a PK system because it could be hours and hours before anyone actually scores.
Yeah, well, let them play. Like hockey had the 5 overtimes this year, and it was great.
Yeah, I think soccer could benefit from something like that, or at least make it a way. I mean, they probably wouldn't allow us because they wouldn't want this, but having less players on the field during overtime, maybe, cut it down by 2 or 3 players, see if that kind of increases scoring a little bit.
What happens with a red card, dude? You play with a man down with a red card. Same thing.
Without red card, though. Just
have it half the field.
But why would they not allow it then? If they do it with a red card, then why would they not allow it?
That's a totally different thing. That's totally different. That's like a power play, but you have it the whole
What about a green card? Oh, that's not
that's how you get into America.
Anyway, I think the last reason culturally we hate flopping and we hate seeing people with fake injuries.
What about the NBA,
as
bro?
a country.
James just has an argument for everything you're saying.
Then why do we watch basketball?
If you think,
I think James is defending soccer here.
I don't. If you think that basketball players flop more than soccer players, I don't think.
Look at Russ.
Soccer.
Look at James Harden.
Yeah, dude,
Shit.
basketball.
Look at every play.
Here's the thing.
Here's
Here's the thing. In basketball, like when players do that, the fans go, "Why are you doing that?" Like, don't.
And they get fined.
And they get fined.
Get
In
fined
soccer, it's part of the game. It's part of the culture. It's part of strategy.
For men's soccer, not in women's soccer.
I'm okay. Jesus Christ, James. Damn. Okay. So, but it's part of the culture. And like I'm saying, like as Americans, fans watching that, I don't think we like that at all. I think that's part of the problem.
What's the strategy in that?
The strategy is to get the referees to call a foul that's may or may not actually been a foul.
Okay.
Right.
I thought it was like to give him rest or something.
No, because they don't really have reviews like they do in some other sports. So
they do that VR now, dude.
But in human error, you can have human error, and it's part of the game to try and sell the call of the referee, right? Okay, so
soccer cleats suck though too. They're like paper thin. I remember rolling my ankles multiple times in high school. Maybe that was my fault though. I don't know.
You're just unathletic, bro.
Yeah.
The soccer cleats,
I think
the materials
your
don't
fault.
ever get them. They're bad.
Yeah. Part of the reason America and our capitalist kind of society, I think that big TV markets don't like soccer because there's not as much advertising opportunity. We got in other sports, you got so many breaks in between action. In soccer, you have halftime. That's about it. So I think for TV markets to want to broadcast soccer, it is not as lucrative as other sports are. So I think that's going to be a harder sell to get soccer more of big TV markets, more primetime television. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way that this country works. So let's, James, I know you have a lot to say. So let's start with you. Do you disagree or agree with what I just said about why soccer isn't as popular?
You said like 4 things, didn't you? I agree with the majority of it. The biggest thing is the fact that the U.S. does not lead it. Like you said, like we're not the best at it. Like soccer in England, in the Premier League, that's top soccer. And there's no way we can beat that. We haven't been playing soccer for a long time, as long as they have. And there's no way we're going to beat that market. Like people in the U.S. who are soccer fans wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning just to watch the Premier League play. And that's not something we're willing to do. Like in the U.S., we have the MLS, then you have like Division 1 and 2. That's pretty much it after that. But they play in small markets. Like the LA Galaxy play at StubHub. And that's a small stadium. Like that's where the Chargers play. They used to play. That's a small stadium. It doesn't house nearly as many people. I think part of the other reason why is that you said it's not lucrative. It makes sense. And it costs a lot of money for children to play soccer now, just because of all the fees you have to do, all the different leagues, all the trap. Like if you want to get good at something in the US, you don't play for your school anymore. It's no longer free. You got to play club sports. You got to play travel teams. You got to do all these that cost a lot of money to get good at it. And I guess people that just don't want to put in that time or effort to do that. And that's the reason why we're not that good. We're not putting resources into developing young soccer players in the United States. And I don't understand why. It's the world's game. Everybody plays it. Literally every country plays it. And I think we should start investing way more into it if you want to be seen on the big stage.
I would agree.
Damn,
I think those are a lot of good points. Alex, as a fan, why do you choose not to watch soccer, or is there like kind of like what's your opinion as a soccer fan? Do you like or dislike about the sport?
I mean, I'll get into the World Cup for sure. Like, I'll get full on in. I will watch as many games as I can, matches. You know, even like for the men's one, you know, the U.S. wasn't in it, but I still watch majority of them. I watch the women's one more closely because you're right. The women's, we're fucking good at it and we win. So I do watch those more often. You know, I think a lot of it too is people won't spend the money to go to a game because it is fun in like when you are there. I mean, even our little Chico State team, like when those teams were good and they were, you know, vying for state championships, like people got into it and it was super fun. And yeah, the flopping is an issue for sure. And it is, James, I would 100% agree with you. The men just milk it and the women will get up and they'll take it and they'll get back up and they'll fight them. I mean, I've seen videos of girls like pulling other girls' hairs after they've hit them. Like, it's gnarly. And then the men cry when nothing has happened. They're really good actors. And I could totally understand how that could, you know, push somebody off of the sport. But there's nothing quite like the end of a soccer match when you're down by a goal and you have to win. And the goalies run, the other team, you know, the team that needs to score, the goalie's running down. That's awesome. Yeah, I love soccer. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I would, you know, I think people should get more into it.
For sure. Let's talk about a little bit kind of soccer where it is today, especially with, you know, kind of youth sports and people playing it. So since 2012, and this is according to a Forbes article. Yeah, I read Forbes. So this is for Major League Soccer. So Major League Soccer, in case you didn't know, is the domestic league, professional league here in the United States. It's seen a 27% increase in revenue, both from attendance and from TV revenue. So that's the last 8 years or so. It's seen a pretty good increase in interest. They will also expand from 24 to 30 teams in the next 4 years. So they're seeing a pretty big expansion, which is also good news for them. But again, despite the increased success of the MLS in this country, the increased success of our men's international team has not been so good. They didn't even qualify for the last World Cup. Our women's team, on their hand, is kicking absolute ass, and I'm going to talk about them more at the end of this. As far as youth soccer goes, soccer is actually one of the most popular youth sports in the country. In most polls that I looked up, it's always in the top 3 in most played youth sports, usually behind basketball and baseball are usually the top 3. I personally played soccer, and I think did anyone on this podcast not play soccer as a kid? James, that's it? All right, so 4 to 5 of us all played soccer, at least a little bit. I think that was a sport. Like, I mean, I remember I feel like everyone in the school played soccer at one point. Like, it's crazy. Like, I think everyone had their own kind of unique sports, but like everyone played soccer. So I think, and it's interesting to see that as it's so popular to play when you're a kid, but for some reason when you kind of grow up and it just doesn't become as big of a deal. But I remember playing soccer and not being a big deal, but watching soccer was not a big deal at all. So I think that's just an interesting component there. So Eric, were you a good little soccer player when you were growing up?
I actually was randomly on the Red Rockets in 3rd grade, was like the leading goal.
The Red Rockets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And surprisingly, there was a kid on our team, Tradon, you might have heard of him. His name's Rocco Grimaldi. He's on the Nashville Predators, actually. He's in the NHL. He was like super short, and he was just like a little Red Rocket out there. Actually, I think he was the leading scorer, but he was like our best player. I have a random one thing that kind of gets me away from soccer is like there's so many leagues of it, you know, like, and the Premier League, the English Premier League that James is talking about, isn't there like no playoffs? It's just like whoever has the best record is the winner.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Like, there is no playoff for it. It's like whoever has the best finishes with the best record is like the champion. So like, say, you know, mathematically there's like a few games left, but you have the best record, like you're already the champion. There's no playoff.
You know what's crazy about the Premier League though is that like there's like a Division 1 league and a Division II league in the Premier League. And if you're like one of the last two teams, the bottom two teams in Division I, you get demoted into the Division II league as a team as a whole. So the entire franchise just goes to a different league if you suck. And then promote the top two teams from the second league to the first league. So it's cutthroat, dude. It's
That's kind of cool, actually.
it's like the only business where you can get a player and then you can sell that player to a different team for more money. It's odd.
Dude,
Just the
like
way
wealthy
that
as shit.
So weird.
International soccer players make way more money than any American player in any sport.
Yeah,
On
it's
their
true.
based on their contracts. I mean, I know like, LeBron and everyone makes a crap ton of advertising, but like Cristiano Ronaldo is like the highest paid athlete in the world on those lists all the time.
it's
And
pretty.
they have like millions of dollars in transfer fees that the athlete doesn't even see. It just
Yeah.
goes from team to team. And then they get the huge contract on top of that. So teams are shelling out hundreds of millions of dollars just to get one player.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's pretty insane how popular soccer is in every other country in the world, and in the US we just don't give a shit. Like, it's so interesting to me how that works. And I mean, the last World Cup, I think, they had 4 billion viewers. That's like half of the world's population. So it is definitely the world's most
Dog like
popular
soccer.
sport. Yeah, clearly. So I want to talk about women's soccer, because I think a lot of all the things I've been saying. Freya, shut up.
You got to edit that part out, bro.
So we're talking about men's soccer as a whole not being successful, but on the other side, U.S. women's soccer has been one of the most successful team sports in the world of all time. I mean, they've been so good. I mean, just a few things here. They won the World Cup in 2015, 2019, 4 overall World Cups. They won 4 Olympic gold medals, most recently in 2012. You know how many gold medals, or actually Olympic medals, the men's team has won? 0. Nothing. Their best finish in a World Cup ever was 3rd place all the way back in 1930.
Oh, good times.
It's just a crazy
Is there
difference.
no bronze medals they give out?
Yeah, they gave out bronze medals, but we never won one.
They got 3rd place.
No, in the World
Cup.
Oh,
There you go. Lock it in. But yeah, so I think for me personally as a fan, like, I've gotten more into soccer in more recent years because of the women's team and because of how good they've been. Again, that kind of speaks to our culture I was talking about earlier. Like, we like being the best at stuff. So Tradon, I'm just curious, like, has the women's team for you increased your interest in soccer, or has it just, or do you not, does it not matter to you, either way?
Yeah. That's definitely the reason that I'm even interested at all. They're very fun to watch. And I'll watch the World Cup anytime that they're playing. And I think that they're kind of the only reason that I have any interest in the sport, which is pretty limited. But it's all about them. Those women are amazing.
Pay them, man. Yeah. So real quick, James, I know you work really closely with women's soccer, with your work. I don't want you to speak for them, but how do you think? I don't know if you have a conversation with them at all about this, like how they feel about soccer not being as popular. Do they even really care, or is it just they just like playing the game? They don't really care about the success of soccer in this country, or do they have are they pretty passionate about wanting to grow the sport more?
It's a bit of both. You got some girls who are extremely passionate about it, who care about the sport, and other girls who are just kind of there because they're good at it. Mm-hmm. The ones who are passionate about it, like Tradon and I have a friend who is on track to play for the national team before getting hurt. So Luli, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. But she's really, really good. And she destroyed both of her ankles playing the sport she loves. And she's passionate about going the game. So she watches all the games. Like, the national team just played recently. I think it was last week. I don't know. A couple days ago, maybe. I didn't know that, but she watched it. And it was like at 9:30 in the morning. So, like, she wants to go to the game, and she's doing it the best way she can by coaching and helping others succeed and being that voice to help others get to that next level. And on the flip side of that, you have girls who are just playing because they're naturally gifted and they're naturally just good at it, who just want to win now, not really caring about the sport itself. But for sure, like the girls who are really passionate about it, they fight and they fight hard.
Definitely. I think women's soccer is so much fun to watch. I've gotten to work closely with both men and women's soccer. They're equally great. I think women sometimes more so. The intensity and the passion that those girls show out there is just unbelievable. It's so much fun to watch. And I've liked soccer. I've grown to like soccer a lot more by working with it. I don't think a lot of people have had that chance to do that, but I think soccer is a very underrated sport, and I would love to see it grow more. I'm going to try and watch more soccer. I'm going to make that a goal of mine, to watch more MLS games or watch more international games, and not just make it a once every 4 years kind of thing with the World Cup. So that's kind of all I got about soccer, and yeah.
Actually, that was a great topic, Tyler. I think we all had a lot of good stuff to contribute. This was a fun episode, boys. Glad to be back. Shouts out to all the listeners, all of our followers. Keep checking everything out. We're going to keep shooting content your way. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Happy upcoming holidays. Christmas is right around the corner. The NBA is starting December 22nd, for those of you that didn't know. It's going to be a blast, and stay updated with us.